Robyn Legal, and we have our special guest, former State Representative Mary Waters. So welcome, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney
And
McCoy.
yes, and I know I actually was introduced to you. It was the late State Rep Isaac Robinson.
Oh, yes, our precious,
Yeah.
precious Isaac. You know, I was looking at our picture this morning of Isaac, and I really miss Isaac. I do. And they
Yeah,
just get so much life, so much energy all the time.
yeah, and it was like what it was August of what I want to say was it 2019. I had reached out to him because I do these expungement forums, and I said, hey, I know the laws are changing, and I was saying, oh, I want to meet up with you. And he said, oh, you need to bring in former State Rep Mary Waters because she's introduced legislation. So he's like, we got to get Mary on board. So he was setting it up. He was setting things up, and then I was doing some forums, and then we were in former state rep Sherry Degnogo's district. And I said, oh, Sherry, we need to have you come over too. Have Sherry come in. I know. And then we had Judge Thomas. And we were at it was at the church. It was at our client of ours, Reverend Myron Jenkins Church, that we had an expungement forum. And you have a really exciting background. And looking at your background, I know you're you're a breast cancer survivor, president of
Yes.
Sisters Network Greater Metropolitan Detroit chapter.
I'm the former president of Sisters Network, and I started, I'm the president and CEO of another organization that I founded, and it is called Survivors Still Serving. I am still a member of Sisters Network. Matter of fact, we had a large meeting last night with Dr. Lisa Newman from Cornell Medicine. She presented.
Okay, and what is that group? What does that group do?
Actually, just address the disparities in the community, in the African American community. Sisters Network is strictly for a focus on African American women.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And then I know from looking at your bio too, you were the first African American female floor leader in the history of the body, where you were on the job for Detroit, earning respect for perfect attendance, leaving a legacy of integrity, honor, and hard work. It says in your bio, you've got some notable legislation, including steering millions of dollars to Detroit, securing appropriation votes while helping slow the stripping of our buildings, electrical fixtures by passing a bill to penalize those who stole and that enable copper strippers. And you also introduced expungement bills, House Bills 5393 and 4327 in an effort to give people a second chance. And now here we are on the eve of the passage of some more expansive expungement legislation.
Wow, I cannot believe how long it took. Now, it didn't take too long after I first, after I left the House, after I was term limited, right? And then, you work so hard because the 6 years that I was there, I continued to push and push and push the legislation. And I was driven by my community. Often I would talk to young people in the community, and they would say, well, Ms. Waters, I can't get a job, because I have a record. I can't get my record cleared. And so I just started working very, very hard on it, talking to people and so forth. And next thing you know, that's one of the things I hate about term limits, Robyn. It's time
Right.
you cannot finish your work, but somebody else did pick up the banner, and they did give me credit after it was passed. So I thought that was very, very nice.
Yeah, I was a runner, so I did track when I was in high school. So this is making me think, when I'm thinking of it, it's like you guys are in a relay. You pass the baton, and you pass the baton to Isaac and Sherry Degnogo and Representative David LeGrand. And now I know Representative LeGrand is term limited, so it's like they've got to pass the baton to the next one to keep moving, to keep progress going as far as expanding this legislation to help more people.
Yes, that's right. And it has to be, and not just at the state level. I want, and I think the Black Women's Lawyers Association need to write a letter or something, a very passionate letter to the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives, and talk about the importance of getting some things done at the federal level. There are a number of people that we cannot even assist in Michigan right now because there's nothing at the federal level that they have other than the pardons, and you know, and that's very difficult. That becomes a very, very expensive process for most people. So the federal government needs to implement some sort of expungement laws. And they
Yeah,
can
I
do
know,
that.
I know, some of us like Attorney Tracy Martin and myself and some of us attorneys did write that letter to request a pardon or clemency for Kwame. And we also included in there consideration for other federal prisoners. So there is the First Step Act. And there has been some progress. There was some progress. There were clemency under Obama, under Trump, and then now we have to see what's going on with the Biden administration as far as clemency for people who are in the federal system. Because yeah, you're right. There are thousands of people that are in the state prisons and the federal prisons, and that for non-violent drug offenses, and who would benefit from being back in the society, being welcomed back in a society. Some of them have families, some of them don't have families, some of them probably would have to be adopted and reacclimated into the system, getting them help with employment, healthcare, things like that.
And not only do we have people in this system, I just personally think that the system should be used for people who are violent. That's where you put people who are violent, but other people I believe can be rehabilitated. I think that most people who make that mistake deserve that second chance. But we have hundreds of people, if not thousands, who have done their time in federal prison. They're walking around here. They cannot get a job because of their record. There's just no way for them to clear their records. And Robyn, that most of those people are not going to have access to ask the president for pardon.
Right.
So that it wipes their record clean. It just won't happen for most people. So it is incumbent upon the Congress to introduce some legislation, some expungement legislation that will allow or empower the judges to do it. They need to do something.
Yeah, I agree that there's, on the state level, we have expungement, and we have this new legislation, which is going to open the doors for more people. It's, it's going from 1 felony and 2 misdemeanors to 3 felonies and unlimited misdemeanors. But again, it depends on what those offenses are. And then, but there's still people that don't qualify under the new legislation. So for them, they're going to have to look to see if the governor will do a pardon for them. And then on the federal level, yes, there is the First Step Act, but we need to see what the status of that is under the Biden administration, what efforts are being made to release people who are in the federal prison system, and let them be free, especially in the midst of a pandemic where they have a higher rate of contracting COVID and getting sick and dying. And so, Mary, I do want to ask you, because I know we have a lot of young people that are watching, and I know you teach. I also work with
some people who are still at an age. Pardon me?
Yeah. But I want to ask you, Mary, so what motivated you to run for office for the young people that are watching?
Tax.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
No, I said there are just some people just sitting there. Taxpayers are paying for them, and they could be out here being productive members of society. They really could be. It makes no sense. I don't know why we're so backwards in this country. Let them out. Let them get a job, pay taxes, and so forth. Contribute to the economy. All of those kinds of things.
Right. I know I had seen previous statistics that had said something about 35,000. You spend 35,000 a year on people that are in prison. When that, like you said, you could get them out, get them some skills training, and they could get jobs and take care of themselves and their family. You know, I would often see,
Yeah.
when I talk to kids in the system, in the neglect system, you talk to them, their parents are incarcerated, or even in the criminal system, you talk to people, they're saying their parents are in jail or prison, and it's a cycle. And so what motivated you to run for
It is.
office? What motivated you to become a state rep?
I have a passion for public service. I just do. Um, because a lot of people think that when you're in office, your job is to just make a whole lot of noise and name calling. That's not what the job is all about. And so when I was a state rep, I quietly got a lot of things done because Robyn, here it is. I recognize that it's about economics.
Mhm.
Okay. So it became, I was on a mission to help as many people as possible to either start their own business, find a job, get an appointment, whether it was judicial appointment or some other board appointment. I worked my behind off for that, you know. And so I did manage to help a lot of people. But then the next thing after I'm term limited, you don't have that kind of leverage anymore. So, but yes, I
Right.
it made it just it was a really good feeling every time I was able to help somebody secure a job.
Right. And I see it says that you would help Detroiters without dental insurance receive free dental exams and cleanings annually, founding the Operation Dental Flush.
Yes, yes. I know it's a kind of a corny name, but so many people, especially people who are, I mean, I started out with the children, in the schools, but then I learned that there were so many kids that already had access to dental care, and I had some of my constituents to say to me, well, Ms. Waters, we don't have, dental insurance, So if you look at people who are age 35 and older, and in particular, so then I decided to focus on adults, teamed up with Wayne County Community College, with the University of Detroit Mercy, University of Michigan, and we would have days, at least twice a year, I did that, where people could come out and for free exams, cleanings.
That's wonderful
And
because
then
I
there was
know,
follow up if they had some other issues.
yeah, because I think it makes a world of difference to make sure you can get your teeth clean, get them fixed. I had some issues, some dental issues. I remember when I was in school too, and they had it where you could go to the dental school. So that's beautiful that
Mhm.
you did that. That makes a world of difference. So, and I see from looking at your bio, you attended Detroit Northern High School, and it says you got an accounting certificate from the Detroit Business Institute prior to graduating from the University of Michigan with a BA.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
and then it also, I know it says that you have had experience as an instructor for Wayne County Community College and
Yes.
Blue Cross Blue Shield Corporate Communications, the Children's Center Resource Development Coordinator, and that you were ombudsman for the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, and you also served as a guest teacher for numerous districts.
Yes. Yes. Busy, busy, busy. Absolutely. And one of the things I want to say to people why I was so passionate about that Operation Dental Flush is because oral health care, if that's not intact, that leads to heart disease.
Right.
It really does. If people are walking around with cavities on a regular basis and stuff, it clearly leads to heart disease, and it's documented. So that's why I had so much passion about it, making those things happen. But yes, I was at the Children's Center. I was at Blue Cross Blue Shield for a number of years. Um, Worked with Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy. So quite some background, yes.
And yeah, and you know, as I see that, as I think about the work that you're doing, and the times we're going through now, it's like, you know, people need resources. They need like, you look at the news, some of the things they have on the news, and it's like people they need food, clothing, shelter. They need jobs. They need housing. You know, some of the stuff that the news has us focusing on, I'm like, it's like people need the basics, you know, and so you know, and I was excited too that when Isaac connected us and we put together we called it the Redemption Coalition, talking to
Yes,
people about the upcoming the expungement legislation, and you know, because I think that can make a world of difference, helping people to get their records cleared, because if they get their records cleared, they can get jobs. It can help them to get housing. It can help them to help themselves and their families. And it takes a village. This is not, I look at this as this is a movement. It's not one person. It's not, this is something, there's everybody, it's like everybody needs to pitch in, you know, we need to
there is work for everybody to do in this case. And I've got to tell you, you know, you have people at the congressional level and different and state level, and they often say, well, we've got to address poverty. I tell you, there's no better way to begin to address poverty than expungements, clearing records. Because then people can become employed. You know, most of these companies not going to employ people if they have a record. So
right.
That addresses poverty.
Right. And I know that there are some places, I know there are some places like in Detroit and Ypsilanti where they have banned the box. But what I get, I've been flooded with calls. I've been inundated with calls from people that what they do is they get a job and they start the job, and then they do the background check, and then they lose the job. And so not every place has banned the box. So a lot of people have said to me, you know, no, Miss McCoy, I need to try to get my record cleared so I can take care of myself and my family. Like I had one of the first expungements I did was a guy, he was a taxi driver and he was taking care of himself and his kids, but he said he wanted to get a higher paying job. And so once we were able to clear his record, he was able to do that. And then I had another gentleman who worked as a mechanic, and he said that he was a really good mechanic. He'd been doing it a number of years, but he wanted to move up into management. But because of his prior record, he said that was something that was a hindrance. You know, so I think that expunging a person's record, it makes a big difference. You know, I know that you and I have talked about you're planning to start a nonprofit. I've talked about starting a nonprofit. So folks, look out for our nonprofits, because we're gonna be asking y'all for some donations. Okay, y'all, look out for Mary and Robyn's. Okay, we're gonna need y'all to help support. I mean, I know, you know, we need lawyers to come and help. We need folks to help with administrative support. We need some of the sheriffs to volunteer to do, like I just talked to one of the sheriffs in Washington County about having a day where people can come in and get their fingerprinting cards, things like that. We need Wayne County. We need the Wayne County Sheriff. We need the Detroit Police. I'm putting it out there. We need y'all. We need you. Everybody needs to do their part. You know, it takes a village.
Yeah, yes, it does. And in this time of COVID, you know, last night when I was listening to Dr. Lisa Newman from Cornell Medicine, and the things that she laid out to us when she talked about the adverse effects of COVID-19 in African American community. Oh, I got to tell you, it was eye-opening. I mean, we have not even began to realize how affected we are and how devastating it has been to our communities. Those numbers will later roll out, but she says, I mean, just the things that she talked about, and in fact, and how racism attributed to it as well when it comes to COVID-19. Everything that happens, it seems, it affects African Americans the most.
Right.
It just does.
What did I say? When white people get a cold, we get the flu. We feel it.
Yes, we really feel it. And so that's been some devastating things, devastating effects on our communities. And so there's a lot of work to do. I mean, it just is. And so I know we're taking one step at a time. If we can help people get jobs and so forth. I know it's very difficult right now. A lot of companies have closed because of COVID. A lot of things are going on because of COVID. But at some point, I mean, I'm looking to the future and I'm hoping that we'll come out of this. When we come out of this, hopefully we are able to, a number of people will then have their records cleared, hopefully, Robyn, and then they can become gainfully employed.
Well, that's what I look at too, because I know you teach, I teach, and and just trying to really encourage the young people. I know the young people, some of them are learning virtually, some of them are in person. I know some of the ones that have done virtually, they're kind of they're sad because they miss being with their friends, they miss being in person. And I had to encourage my students, like, look, I know, when we were doing some of the stuff virtually, it's like, okay, just try to keep your eyes on the prize, study hard, try to focus on your work, try to do is, get through your classes, because this is going to end, the end, and you want to have as much, get skills training, like skills training, do as much as you can to make sure that you're marketable so that you can get a job to be able to take care of yourself. And so, yeah, why don't you tell the audience like more about some of the work that you do with kids, with young people and helping them?
Yes, as a matter of fact, some of the young people that I was working with today, there's this company I've been working with for the past 4 or so years. And these are young people who decided they want to earn their high school diploma virtually. So I've been working virtually for quite some time now, actually. So it was easy enough for me to be able to work with my other students who are in the dual enrollment program virtually. So these students that I work with, say today, for example, that I work with, they're like all ages. I have one of them, and I generally don't work with middle schoolers, okay?
Okay.
But I do have at least one that's in middle school, and he's in the 8th grade. But the rest of my students are 9th through 12th grade.
Okay.
And some of them had dropped out of high school at some point, and they can come back and enter this program up to, say, the age of 22.
Okay.
Because at the age of 22, you literally age out. So I have, for example, I have 2 students who will age out this year. So they're trying to complete as much as possible. And I have 3 people who graduate this month.
Okay.
With their high school diplomas, So every time I can get one to the finish line, one after another to the finish line, it's a really good thing.
And that's wonderful. So see, with the work I was doing at the juvenile court too, with the educational advocacy, we were really trying to, work with the kids, make sure that they got all the supports they need to get that high school diploma, because it makes such a difference to get that diploma. I know I have a friend that was really pressing to work with, and I've worked with college students. It's good to get the college degree, but it's like especially for African Americans, we got to just get the kids, get them support through preschool to the 8th grade, then 8th grade to the high school diploma, get them the diploma. Then if it's going to be skills trade, go to skills trade, go to a couple years for that, or college. But we just need to get more of us getting that high school diploma or the GED, because it's, you have kids that are just kind of like, oh, I'm not smart. And it's like, it's not that you're not smart. Sometimes the parents, that maybe there's some circumstances, the parents are running on hard times. They couldn't go to school, their mental health issues, drugs, whatever. And so, but the kids need to know that they matter, and that that there are resources out there, and that we should get their high school diploma, get their GED, and get them, they can still make a change in the world. They can make a difference,
Absolutely. I had one young man to tell me last week, he says, Ms. Waters, to tell you the truth, he says, my attention span, I just cannot focus. you know. So we also have with the company people called success coach. So I then decided to email the success coach and ask her to have a conversation with him, find out how we can help him, because the company also offers some sort of resources if in fact if he needs counseling or whatever, you know, something that can help him focus a little bit more so that he can do better with his classes. We offer free tutoring for students. It is free for them. Now, for example, after they turn age 22 and they age out of the program, it is
Okay.
still really an inexpensive program for them. They can pay $50 per class.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And that's only for maybe, they don't even pay for all of the classes. Say, for example, if they need to take 10 classes, they're probably only going to pay for 10 of them. I mean, 20 classes, if they're probably going to pay for 10 of them, not all 20. That's for
Right.
22 years old that have aged out.
Aged
So,
out. I feel like
yeah.
I need to connect you with Linda McGee. I don't know if she works with the Michigan Children's Law Center, because I know they're working with a lot of the young folks over there as well. But yeah, right now I'm working with two students. I have one student, he's only 2 classes away from graduating from
Mm-hmm.
high school. He had some issues. We made sure he got properly assessed. And that makes a world of difference. That makes sure he got assessed as being dyslexic and having dyscalculia.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's only two. When I got him, he was having some struggles, some issues and problems. But now he's only 2 classes away from graduating. So we're just trying. He's got his grandmother, his grandfather. It's like it takes a village. And then I have another young lady. She's doing virtually schooling, and we're working with her. And she's just got a couple months to go. So we made sure she took her SAT, her
Mm-hmm.
SAT, ACT. She's applying to college. And again, it's like,
Yeah.
these kids, I was blessed. I had a mom and a dad, to help support me to get through high school and college and law school. So it's like, it's important that for people such as yourself, that you're out there helping these young people. And I have some students too I'm working with. I have 4 that I've helped as far as applying to law school. So they'll be going to law school in the fall. And
Uh-huh.
they're African American, and I'm excited about that, because right now, like, there's, as far as the African American population for lawyers, there's only 5%. Even though it may, for those of us that live or work in Detroit, it may seem like there are a lot of Black attorneys. Yeah, there's in the area, but overall, it's only 5% African American.
Yeah. And and I have some of the students to say, Ms. Waters, I have been trying to earn my high school diploma for quite some time. And I'm so grateful to you because you didn't let me give up. You did not allow me to give up. I had one student, and so I get these nice little thank you notes from some of them. Gosh, it's such a rewarding experience when you know that you've helped them, you push them to get to the finish line, and then they reach back and say, I couldn't have done it without you. If you had not continued to push me, I would never have done this. And I've had several students to tell me that. I had one young man, he was just gonna kind of give up, And I said, so you're just gonna give up? And I guess he was in shock that I cared.
And see,
Well,
that's what
he started working so hard, Robyn, and he finished.
and yeah, and that's what people need to see with these kids. They, some of the kids, they have this energy. They can get they use their energy. They can get negative attention, or they can get positive attention. It's just that we need to have more people like you to nurture our kids, our community, to lift them up so that they can see that they can be whatever they want to be. They can do whatever they want to do. And it's just a matter of giving them that support. If they need resources, giving them resources. I have, as I said, I have some students that I'm working with that are going to law school. They're
Mm-hmm.
on their way. I have another one I'm working with her to try to help get things in order, get her the right supports. And I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. It's what we're supposed to do. I had people in my life that helped me to get where I am. And it's like they said, W.B. Du Bois said, the talented 10th. We're supposed to reach back and help other people so that they help the children so that they can, because
That's
right
right.
now, I can only imagine if I'm a kid right now, it's rough. It's rough out there. I'm an
Yeah.
adult and it's rough. I'm supposed to be a grown up.
And
Okay.
I'm
I'm a
so
grown.
glad you talked about reaching back and helping others, because that's exactly what we're supposed to do. You know, and that's why when you're an elected official, it's important that you reach back and help pull people up.
Right.
You have some power to do that. And it's so critical that we do those kinds of things. You see, being a public servant is not just about you. It's not about you. It's about those that you represent, those that you serve. And so anytime that you get into a position such as that and you work for the people and you believe that you're more important than the people, then you need to find something else to do.
Right. I feel like I'm in church. You preaching. You preaching. You're preaching. Reverend Mary Waters, go ahead.
I just feel so passionate about that, you know. I really, really do, because when people decide to honor you by electing you to office, I mean, you know, that's a high honor. It truly is. That means that they're putting their faith in you to get the job done, to care enough to work as hard as you possibly can on their behalf. And it should mean something.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, I think definitely I look at, for me to be able to become a lawyer, because people think, my father's a lawyer, my mom's a nurse. Oh, it was easy. Oh no, it was not easy. This was some work. This law school it is not easy. Okay. It's not for the faint of heart.
It's a lot of work.
And I've had to deal with anxiety and depression. And so when I work with my kids, I'm like, I'm not just somebody, you have some people like, oh no, you can do it or whatever. No, I'd had to deal with my own stuff. I'd had to deal with my own issues. I'd had to pray and get through. And and I was blessed. And so then when I look at, I'm a spiritual person, as you are, and I'm like, if God has blessed me to be able to get where I am, then it's incumbent that you reach back and you help other people. That's the way I was raised. I had Catholic school, Pentecostal. My grandfather was a minister, superintendent in the Pentecostal church, and so that's why we said we got this redemption coalition, but it's like it's the redemption ministry. This is like a church. This is like, I look at when Judge Thomas recruited me to do expungement. This is a ministry. This is like an expungement ministry, just like
it is.
yeah, and just like the work you're doing, dealing with the expungement, but dealing with you're nurturing, you're teaching these young people. This is like a ministry. It's a calling. To be a teacher is a calling.
Yeah, it yes, it is. And you can't be effective if you don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
I was watching. I don't know if you've watched. My mom told me about the Mahalia Jackson.
I watched it.
I watched it yesterday. She and I are birthday twins, and yeah. So I watched it yesterday, and so just I'd read up on her. We all know about her, but I mean, just hearing about her story, though, like what she went through, and just how nurturing and loving she was, even though she had her own health challenges with fibroids. Yeah, sarcoidosis. She just was such a beautiful spirit. So, and that's you too. You emanate that. You have that spirit too. Just giving back to the community, and yeah.
And Mahalia had, that voice. What?
Right.
And did you see in the movie how they continue to, some of the churches didn't like the way she sang.
Right.
And so forth. The music guy kept telling her she needed to change it. I mean, it's a gift from God. It was her gift.
Right.
So she decided to ignore everybody and just roll with her God-given gift.
Right.
And you see what happened.
Yeah. And it was fate. And then, you watch the movie and you see how, her gift helped Martin Luther King, helped with the civil rights movement, and she,
Exactly.
because of her, so she was able to give back, and and then she, just looking at her life too, she had a rough life, but she still gave back. I mean, she could have just gotten rich and be like, oh, forget everybody else.
Exactly, but she did not.
Right.
And that's what, and I didn't know that about her. I didn't know her story. And I'm so happy that I did watch that movie.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that. It was
And the executive producer is Robyn Roberts.
Right. I saw that. Yeah, and then the young lady who played her, she was talking about some of the health issues that Mahalia Jackson went through, that she stressed that she wanted that to be in the movie. And I think that with dealing with the fibroids and stuff, and I think that's important because for Black women,
Yes.
that's a lot of Black women have had issues with fibroids. I've had issues too, and I mean,
Yes.
and so it's I looked at the last stats. They said 70% of white women and 80% of Black women have had some issues with fibroids. And so, and it's important, the more we know about it, like things that you can do to change your diet. There's
Exactly.
alternatives to some of the traditional, like some of the traditional doctors will just say hysterectomy, but there's other procedures that can be done to avoid that. I mean, I'm not saying sometimes you may need it, but that's why you have to I'm not a doctor. We're not doctors, folks. Talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor. Okay. I'm a lawyer, not a doctor. You're a teacher. Okay. Disclaimer.
I'm a public servant.
Right. So with you having the background as a public servant, if you could go back, let's say you could, I don't know, they changed the term limits and you could go back and run again or something like that. If you went back, what other areas would you focus on, or what other legislation would you try to have passed?
Well, I can tell you, I would still continue to work on expungements. I can tell you that.
Okay.
I would do a lot more on environment as well, because I've always been a big person when it came to environmental issues, which is when Isaac first got elected. So he called me up and he said, hey, Mary, so what type of legislation should I be working on? And so I said, Isaac, and we talked about expungement, talked about that piece. I said, but I want to see you take on the environmental issues too. I said, we need to close that incinerator. Oh, Isaac got busy.
Right.
Next thing you know, the incinerator was closed.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. So, but yeah, so those, and the reason I say environmental issues, because it has such a tremendous impact on our communities. We already, as Black people, suffer with all kinds of illnesses, asthma, cancer, and so forth. And so, and if you look at it, Black women die 40-something% more often than white women of breast cancer.
Right.
Every lung cancer is higher in Blacks. Prostate cancer is higher in Blacks. So why wouldn't I care about the environment? Of course I do.
Right.
And so naturally, that would be one of the things that I would address. The other piece of it would be, how do I get more people employed, more business opportunities? And that's one of the things that I was looking at when I was at the state level before. And because when you look at the department, Michigan's Department of Management and Budget, Robyn, let me tell you, most people can't even get to the table to even see if they can do business with the state of Michigan.
Okay.
They cannot. And so that door needs to be a lot more open too. We need to open that door so that people can go in and have that discussion, or at least DMB will come out and train people and say, hey, if you have this background, if you have this type of business, you can do business with the state of Michigan, and here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to have in order to make that happen. And I used to hold community meetings, little workshops in my district, so that people can, send the state out, the Department of Management and Budget, so that people can come and ask questions. So those things are critical, because we want economics in our communities. That's why when Councilman James Tate when he was working on the recreational marijuana piece, and so that people can own businesses and so forth here in the city of Detroit, marijuana businesses. I
Right.
want to make sure. I decided to join his task force and look at the legacy piece, because I'm saying if you live in Detroit and you've been here for all these years, you ought to be able to own a business if you want one in
Right.
marijuana. If
Right.
you want one. And we need to do as much as we can in terms of giving them the points, so that, because a lot of them not going to have as much money as some of the other people. So we had to look at other ways that they could earn points.
Right.
You know, so we did those kinds of things. And I've got to say, Councilman Tate just came up with just a beautiful ordinance. As a matter of fact, he's been receiving praise from around the country about what Detroit has done with that marijuana ordinance. And so I was happy that I was a small part of that.
Yeah, to me, it's only poetic justice, because it's like we have African Americans, we've disproportionately suffered in America. We've had disproportionate sentencing for marijuana, for other drugs, and now they
Yes.
legalize marijuana, and we don't even have a seat at the table. But we've suffered, and it's like the world looks at us. The world looks at everybody. Right now you got the Derek Chauvin trial. But it's not just the American public looking at it, it's the international community. Everybody's looking at the world, at America, and America has got to come correct. It's got to come correct with the way it treats its citizens. It's
That's right.
Black folk.
All right. Mm-hmm. The way that it treats its citizens. Oh, what's the guy's name that married Michelle and Barack Obama, Pastor?
Jeremiah Wright.
Jeremiah Wright. You just sounded like him when you said when the American treats its citizens. That's probably one of his favorite speeches.
Yeah, I was raised going when he would come into town, we would go see Reverend Jeremiah Wright with the Black liberation, theology and the doctrine. So we would go see Jeremiah Wright. So yeah, he's I know he's had some health challenges, but he was very feisty. I know there was some drama going on there, but he was awesome. He's awesome. And then Father Flager too. I really enjoy watching Father Flager, Michael Flager. I've been to his church.
Okay.
And
I met him one weekend when I was in Chicago for a festival or something. I met him. He was walking around out there. So that was the only time that I met him.
Yeah, he's awesome. I met him. I his book. He has a book. It's called Radical Disciple. Again, in keeping with what you and I have talked about, helping people in the community, like social justice, like as a ministry, not just out there just trying to look good. People going to church trying to look good, but actually walking the walk and talking the talk.
That's right. That's right. I mean, don't go sit up in the church looking all good, come back out, knock your neighbor over and won't even say, excuse me.
Right.
Hello, somebody.
Right.
So you can go into church all that you want to, but if you are not right, you got to be right. That means you've got to care about people. You got to love that self, but you've got to love your neighbor.
Right. That's why, like I was talking about in being in the Word with this pandemic, you have the plagues, like the Lord put plagues on the people when the people weren't doing right. And so it's like, I know a lot of people want the plague to pass, but it's like, we got to do right. We got to do right by everybody,
and they're still not doing right.
Right.
And what's happening? There are surges.
Right.
All over this country, right here in Michigan, major surge. In fact, so much that the CDC is here now on the ground investigating.
Right.
They want to know what in the world is going on in Michigan that we have all of these surges.
Right.
All these variants. But you see, you have to believe science, okay? Some people may not want to believe science, but that's why God gave them the knowledge.
Right.
So that they can advise us. So you can't do all of these large gatherings. You can't be all up under each other, not wearing a mask. You need to follow the guidelines. See, if we would follow the guidelines, we might have this thing way down by now. Because why? Because the virus needs somewhere to jump,
Right.
and it goes from one person to another. And I just don't get it. It's really, really, really out of hand here in Michigan. It's worse than it was initially today, right now.
Right. I mean, that's why I'm like, we need prayer, meditation. I got my vaccine. I know they have to make their own choice about the vaccine. You got to consult your doctor, but I got my shots. I got the Moderna. I still take my herbal remedies, my zinc, my turmeric, my elderberry, pray on it, but I'm with you. God brought the science, he brought the science, he brought the doctors. The doctors are able to heal because God enables them to do that. So I know some people are scared, Tuskegee, but it's like, okay, but then you see some of these wealthy people just not cheating, lying, stealing to get the vaccine. So
that should tell them something, shouldn't it? That should tell them something. And I got mine too, Robyn, because I mean, what else are we gonna do? If a lot of people have had all kinds of vaccines, whether it's flu or whatever it may be, but I've got to tell you, this is something here that man is fighting to try and figure out.
Right.
And the people should do their part, and their part is to what? Social distance, wear your mask, wash your hand and face and so forth if you've been out anywhere. I mean, if you do your part, avoid the real large gatherings. You can't just be huddled together. You can't do it.
Right. Nah, I mean, and I know it's hard for the young people. It's hard for me. I saw, everybody want to go out. I'm a sociable person, but I'm like, we've had to learn to go virtually. We socialize virtually, okay?
Yeah.
We're learning. You got to go within. You got to pray. There's times to go on the outside. This is like the Lord is like, you got to go within, meditate, pray, ask the Lord for what am I to do with this situation? What's the best way,
That's right. That's right.
So, well, I thank you, former State Rep Mary Waters. I know we've got that expungement event coming up with former State Rep Sherry Gay Dignogo.
That's right, this Saturday.
Yep. So, folks, we'll share the information for that, and look forward to Mary and I'm sure we'll be partnering up on some more expungement activities, other activities. And
yes,
Mary,
we will.
Yeah, I salute you for all that you do in the community and for your work, and keep doing what you're doing, and stay safe and be blessed.
And Robyn, let me just say to you, I was just so pleased when I first met you. You have just the most wonderful spirit, and it's an honor to be able to work with you. And I thank you for allowing me to.
Well, thank you. I'm just watching you, girl. Hey, I'm watching and learning. So, all right, you be blessed, and I'll talk with you later, okay?
All right, you too. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.